Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Loudmouth Fisticuffs, episode number 7. I can't believe it. We've had such a great time the last few episodes. Thank you so much for joining in. You guys are responding. You guys are giving us feedback, and we really appreciate it. I really can't say thank you enough. Broken record. I know we say that every time, but it's very, very important. Guys, if you support the channel, if you support what we do, if you support the show, leave a like. Share the video, right?
Get involved.
Get involved, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. We're on a few different platforms, so there's several ways to watch this. Okay, leave a comment. Leave some feedback. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you don't want to see. It works both ways. We listen to it. I read it, and we will respond accordingly. So now that we got that out of the way, we got several announcements. We're going to talk about the whole Jon Jones incident. We're going to talk a little bit about Wrestlemania. We're going to talk about UFC 249. But first, my man, Mr. Live Worldwide, what's going on, Mr. Jeff Houston?
Just trying to survive in these interesting times here in quarantine, social distancing and all that shit. 6 feet away. Apparently, everybody's saying 6 feet will save the world now. I can't stand the terminology that they spring on us. When shit like this hits the fan. Social distancing, oh my God. You know what? Fuck social distancing. I'm all about social media. I've been all over social media lately, man, utilizing the fuck out of it. I'm making social media my bitch right now, and I'm loving every second of it.
Good. Jeff and the Fat Pug, right?
Jeff and the Fat Pug, a little series that I'm throwing out there, kind of bullshitting on Facebook Live, but I figured people would probably listen to what I have to say just that much more if I have my Fat Pug on camera with me, and apparently it's working.
Well, people need stuff like that, man. Like you said, people need just little stuff like that. People are interested in what people like you have to say, man, because you're a very opinionated person, and having the Fat Pug with you on the side there, it kind of gives you those extra eyeballs, and you're able to, just talk about the everyday shit, man. And I think it makes it, you joke around, you're kind of lighthearted with it. So you take the seriousness, I think.
Whoa. Kind of lighthearted. Expand on that a little bit. What do you mean? What do you mean kind of lighthearted?
No, I mean that in a positive way. I just mean like it's
Josh. Gotcha. You said I went ahead and called you out on the kind of lighthearted. I acted the diva, and then you went ahead and I'm like, now we're getting it.
Cue the drum.
There's a rim shot anywhere you need it at any time. Come on now.
I don't do rim shots, brother.
We're not talking about that, man. I don't care if you bleach your asshole. I don't care.
Oh my goodness, Jeff. But I tell you what, it's been a crazy week. It's been a roller coaster with WrestleMania and UFC 249. I guess let's start first with the Jon Jones incident, right?
Jon Jones incident.
I hate that we're even talking about him in this light again. I would love to just keep talking about his amazing fights. That's what I want to talk about when it comes to Jon Jones. But it just seems that we always come back to this, and each time
we circle back, we circumvent right back to where we fucking started. I feel like anytime that I'm talking about Jon Jones, it's like a 180 back to bullshit.
I don't know what to do, man. I've talked about this on a couple different shows that I've been on, and we've at length, and at this point I know a lot of people know what happened already, right? Cops got calls of there being like gunfire in downtown Albuquerque, and they found him. He was inebriated. He says that he was trying to share positivity with homeless people. It was really fucking weird. I don't know if he was just that, blitzed out of his mind.
Yeah, he slurred that too. I'm just trying to share the positivity with the community. Yeah. He was literally drooling out of the side of his mouth, and he was also saying, I'm sure that you had an opportunity to look at the footage of his sobriety walk, And I loved how he was saying how he was getting stir crazy, and yet on every single social media account that he definitely had one of those sayings, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. Of course, the motherfucker doesn't follow his own advice, and he could have avoided all of this. He could have avoided this 190% if he had just followed his own fucking advice. And of course he didn't, because he thought, once again, I am above the law.
That's Judge Dredd, right? Is that Judge Dredd?
I'm
the
law.
I am the law. Yeah. Rob Snyder.
I am the law.
And I guess when he came back and he came back and fought Anthony Smith, and he fought Thiago, and then he fought Dominic Reyes.
You got it. All right.
And then there was talk of him fighting. Oh man, who was the next guy in line?
I like your snapping, man.
Boom. Anyway, he was fighting these guys back to back to back, and we thought that, hell, he was probably going to pull maybe 5 fights this year. He was on track.
On track.
Yeah, he was on track to do it. That's what he wanted to do. That's what he talked about. I was excited. I was like, man, maybe Jon is turned over. Maybe he's finally got somebody in his life that's keeping his ass in check.
And then
this happened.
And then that happened. I'm telling you, man, damage control for the sake of damage control was absolutely unnecessary in the time that we're currently experiencing. And that's what the biggest dumb fuck moment to me is about this whole situation with Jon Jones, is that this is a different situation, that all he had to do is stay his dumb ass at home. We don't need you to go out and promote positivity amongst the community unless you're donating food, water, supplies, whatever, to the poor communities in your area. That I can commend. But dude, you were out there with a fifth of mezcal, and a specific mezcal on top of that, the kind that Mr. Masvidal certainly appreciates. But he was out there with a fifth of mezcal, and if you're pounding mezcal, I hate to say it, man, there aren't too many people that actually pound mezcal. That's some hard smoky shit. Yeah. I can tell you firsthand on that. I've definitely had a couple of rounds with the gloves off with mezcal, so I definitely know that stuff's no, it's no lightweight, it's no featherweight. But that's all he had to do. He just had to stay home, and his world would have kept spinning. Everybody would have still had this positive outlook on him that maybe the bullshit is past, and that he's going to have these consistent fights. He's going to continue to defend the light heavyweight title. And then this happens. I really hope that he gets stripped, number one. And I think that he should get bumped back. I think that he shouldn't be given UFC priority anymore. Cash cow or not, Dana's got enough people that can carry the load. In absence of Jon Jones. We don't need this right now. We really don't. This guy is behaving like a fucking thug. An alcoholic, drug-abused thug. And we don't need that right now. That's not the positive message that we want to put out there. Now, I know fighters are a different breed, and I know that fighters easily give in to vices and have so many vices, because when you put your ass on the line, it's easy to get into those vices, especially if you're as world famous as Jon Jones is. And I get that, but it's not worth losing millions of dollars, losing the public, having the public completely change their perspective on you, and losing an opportunity to do what you were born to do, and that is to kick ass in the octagon. And his personal demons just fucked that up. I just don't understand it.
I will agree that Bob Hope, he's not Bob Hope. He doesn't need to worry about spreading positivity, right? I'm almost certain it was just a bullshit answer that he was just, he just pulled it right out of his ass. I don't know.
Well, of course he did.
But
of course he did.
I will say this: I don't think he should be stripped of the title. I think unless it's a violent offense. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, and I don't. When I say that,
he is a habitual offender.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And there should be a repercussion. I'm with you there, right? I'm with you there. He should have punishment and consequences like we all do, right? And like the 5-day, whatever the 5-day in-house arrest.
It's longer than 5 days. It's a shit ton longer than 5 days. I'll tell you that much. But it's still bullshit, man. It's not jail time. It's not jail time, and this time it should be jail time. Why couldn't he get 90 days? Why couldn't he get 60 days? Why couldn't he get that and just have him do that? This is exactly what it is. This is exactly what it is. He must serve 96 consecutive hours in a community custody program similar to house arrest. Boo fucking who? That's what we're all doing right now. And complete 48 hours of community service, a $500 fine, and taking part in a 90-day outpatient treatment program. I'm going to tell you, he's a smart dude to take the deal. I'll give him that. That's one hell of a deal considering that these were felony counts.
I think they should have took away his driver's license.
Oh, absolutely. Why didn't they? Why didn't they take away his driver's license for a year or two?
They did put in I'll let you get back to that, Jeff, but I just want to throw in, I think I did read where they installed a breathalyzer into the car for it to turn on. I believe that's
he's an alcoholic. Of course they need to do that.
Yeah.
They needed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. A lot of people are probably going to give me crap. Oh, it's a crutch. It's a crutch. It's a disease. It's a disease. Oh my God. You know what? When you got to be able to be responsible for your own motherfucking actions. The problem with it is that he's not going to be responsible for his actions because he got off again. Anybody else, Josh, anybody else with no fame and no money would have absolutely been butt fucked by the system.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
No. Once again, fame, money, and people coming to your rescue. Like a little spoiled fucking kid. I swear to God, it's like a spoiled fucking rich kid that keeps getting bailed out because daddy is worth a damn.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry.
I mean, there's nothing.
This time I'm pissed, man. I'm sorry. The other times I was like, not again. But to do this now during quarantine,
it's stupid.
Dumb assery 101.
Yeah.
Dumbassery, and that's what pisses me off so much about that. That's the biggest. Oh man, that is the biggest stick in my craw. Is that just
fine point? I mean, there's nothing really you can argue about against that part. I mean, there's all fine points. I mean, it's fucking stupid. The entire situation is absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous. He needs a fucking handler. He needs, with the money that he has. Shame on his fucking management team. Shame on his coaching staff. Mm-hmm. Shame on them, because they obviously at this point, how the guy is, right? He has vices, which having vices in itself, it doesn't make you a bad person, right? It doesn't make you a bad guy, but
these are not vices. He is an addict.
What? Right. He's right. So he's an addict, and he doesn't have any self-control. So
none.
When somebody that doesn't have self-control and they have access to a fuck ton of money, and they have access simply because of just their fame alone, he can probably get shit that we can't, just based off of who he is, right?
Off of who he is?
Just off of who he is. He needs to have somebody, his team needs to fucking come together, get him a handler, somebody who can have access to him at the drop of a dime. Something, man.
And say, guess what, motherfucker? You can't be trusted.
Yeah.
You can't be trusted. Why are we treating you like a child? Because you're acting like one. Because you're acting like one. That's why. You need to have some of your rights taken away so that you can at least, preserve some of who you are. Preserve some of your legacy moving forward, instead of everybody just rolling their eyes every time that you fuck up again, which I'm going to tell you, he will. He will fuck up again. This is not the wake-up call. I do not see this being the wake-up call for Jon Jones, because he made a deal. And if this happens again, I promise you he'll go to jail next time, because I think that will be the straw that just breaks the camel's back. I don't know why people say that, but it's a stupid fucking saying, but it's a saying nonetheless. But I truly believe he will do it again, and I hope that he is held accountable the next time. And I hate to say these horrible things about him and everything, but we're sick of it, John. We're sick of it, man. We're sick of you not having your shit together.
My name is Josh, not John.
No, I'm talking to John, motherfucker. I'm talking to John.
Where's he at?
I don't know, but he's obviously not listening to us.
No, I agree with you though, man. Like 1,000% when it comes to that. I think that here's my question. Here's what I want to pose: is does it get to a point to where it already kind of is, but I mean over, like, for instance,
it's just too much. It's just too much.
Right. So I'm a fan, right? I've been a Jon Jones fan pretty much since he came on the scene, right? And it's hard to forgive him, but damn it, even now, like when I see his fights, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm still gonna.
I'm not forgiving him. I am separating the two.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, it going to get to a point to where the fan base is going to say, you know what, he's great, possibly one of the greatest fighter in any era, right? But you know what? Wash my hands. Does that ever happen?
I think the only way that that's going to happen is if he commits a crime that's just egregious. It goes beyond
like something violent.
Yeah. It has to be something like excessively violent, because I mean he's already a world-class athlete, and of course one of the greatest MMA fighters that there's ever been. So the guy is literally a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
The guy's a registered weapon in itself. So if he does something that's egregiously violent, that goes even beyond what the average person would do as far as a violent crime, then yes, absolutely, people will wash their hands of them, because it's something that they can't necessarily relate to, because a lot of them haven't gone through that themselves. It has to be, the reason why he's going to have more sympathy on this is because DWIs is a relatable offense.
Right.
A lot of people can relate to that, because a lot of people have been in his same situation. Now, if he ends up, committing some kind of violent crime, and he utilizes his strength and his fighting skills based on that crime, then I think people would actually say, something, we're done. Like if he pulls like some War Machine, shit. Then absolutely, like what War Machine fucking did, if he does something like that, oh yeah, people will turn on him. They will change the channel. They will say, you know what? You don't have our support anymore, man. You're just a fucking animal. You're a fucking animal. I mean, and that's how I feel about War Machine. And now he's going to be in prison for the rest of his goddamn life, just because he couldn't handle his personal shit, and he was just, and that's when it becomes too much. When people get hurt or even potentially killed, that's when it's too much. That's when it's too much.
I believe that the same, whatever is in him, the same personality trait that makes him feel invincible in the octagon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Invincible in the training room, invincible on the mats. The same thing, and just a bulletproof, untouchable. You can go on and on and on. But whatever makes him that, I think it's part of him in every aspect of his life,
except his personal, except his fucking personal life.
Well, what I mean by that is, I think he thinks he's bulletproof even outside of the cage, right? Which he's not. He thinks he is.
No, he's a fuck up in the real world, because Josh, you know as well as I do. You've been around the cage. You've been around the ring. You've been around the squared circle. It's artificial. It's manufactured. It's not real. It's not real life when the cameras are on. It is not real life. When you get in the cage, it's not real. When you get out of the cage, walk back to the dressing room, take your shower, talk to the fans, talk to the media. Do the post-fight press conference.
Yeah.
None of that is real.
Right.
The only real shit is when you leave the arena.
Right.
Then that is real life.
I think he probably has an ego problem. That's why I think he's I think maybe he might believe his own hype, man. That's why I think
don't.
part of it, in terms of like the people around him, how many people are kissing his ass like, yeah, you're the champ, you John Bones, do whatever the fuck you want, man. Who's gonna tell you no? Blah blah blah. And I think maybe he's just filling his head up. I
It's like
think,
beauty. It's like having a team of beauty pageant mothers.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great comparison.
That's exactly what it is, man. Nobody's
Yeah.
nobody's gonna tell you you're fucking up even when you are. They're gonna always tell you, hey, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great. I'm like, you know something? I'm gonna tell you, two of the most damaging words in the world of entertainment are good job.
Mm.
Self-entitlement like a motherfucker, man. Builds you up and makes you feel that you are invincible to the world. And guess what? You are not infallible. You're not. You can be broken just like any other Tom, Dick, and Harry who's walking the street, making a living, slinging shit, doing what they have to do. And that's the issue. He needs to understand that there is a separation of the two. And sometimes it's hard for some people because, you never know whether you're talking to Jon Jones, the person, or Jon Bones Jones, the fighter, because sometimes they don't know who's who. How many times have people gotten so ingrained in their character, especially in pro wrestling, that you never know that you never know who you're talking to. You never know if you never know if you're talking to Jon Jones, the person, or Jon Bones Jones, because some people are convinced that he's Bone Jones from moment one to moment done, and obviously he's not.
It's a shame because you do see that, especially in pro wrestling, right? We do see that where the person and the gimmick kind of becomes, after a while,
fused.
They become fused together, and it takes a while for that separation to really come back down to earth.
Look at Ric Flair, perfect example. Great example. Ric Flair lived the life. Ric Flair absolutely lived the character, but in his personal life, he was a hot fucking mess.
Yeah,
he was always away from home. He neglected his family. He was probably one of the worst when it came to his own personal finances. I can't tell you how many businesses that he bankrupt and, fucked over. He even had in Florida, it was either Florida or North Carolina. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you heard about Ric Flair Finance.
Yeah.
He actually had a loan company that he ran into the ground. And just because you're Ric Flair, that doesn't mean that, you're immune to the stupid shit that people do on the outside, because he's a perfect example of that. There are so many people who just fall, and it's not just wrestlers. It's actors. It's rock stars, movie stars. In entertainment, it's so easy to ingrain yourself into that. And I'll tell you, as an entertainer myself, I absolutely know the difference between Jeff Houston, the announcer, and that's Jeff Houston spelled with an O. And then Jeff Houston on the outside, who he is when he comes home to his wife, to his pug, and to his family. And I absolutely know that. And I am not Jeff Houston, the announcer, right now, man. What you see is what you get. And I know how to separate the two, because I know that that is artificial, that it is manufactured in that. And I think some people don't know that. Some people actually think that this is real life. And I'm like, it's not. When the camera turns on, it is not real life. Not at all. It's artificial.
Yeah.
It is, man.
Yeah. I guess maybe kind of segueing away from that, I guess, speaking of
thank you. Yeah. We gave Jon Jones 20 minutes, man, and that's 5 minutes more than he deserved.
And speaking of pro wrestling, I guess we can kind of touch on WrestleMania, right? Is right around the corner.
Right around the corner. It's this Saturday, baby.
Yeah, this Saturday and this Sunday.
And Sunday, the first time in the history of WrestleMania that it is a 2-day event.
I'll be honest with you, Jeff. I'm not super excited. I honestly I haven't been super excited about a WrestleMania probably in a while, but I want to see AJ versus Taker, and that's probably about it. That's probably about it.
No, man, there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff right there, and I'll definitely give Taker his due. He busted out one of the best promos that I've seen in a long time from him this past Monday on Raw. Man, I haven't seen Taker, get like that. I mean, it was kind of teetering in between character and himself. Because they were, shooting on each other on their names. If we're going to be honest, that's who we are. The idea of the Boneyard match. And it's just so weird this year because, everything's taped. Yep. In fact, everything's taped this year. In fact, I think they're finished. I think they're finished.
Last Thursday was the last day they could tape.
Yeah. So they're all so WrestleMania is all taped. They're making the best of a difficult situation. And I think that everybody needs to embrace this particular one because it's the most unique WrestleMania that we've ever been a part of. And it's in a situation to where the entire world is going through the same thing. It's not just one or two people. It's the entire world that's been affected by this. And yet WWE has the mindset that the show must go on, and I love that. Even though that there's going to be a lot of different things, especially with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, and that's the first time that a tag team championship will only have one team member represented. It will not be.
Miz dropped out, right?
Miz got sick. Miz got sick. And as you know, Roman Reigns pulled himself from WrestleMania, and I'm so happy that he did because unfortunately he is a prime candidate for COVID-19 because of his leukemia being in remission. So, he has, it's a weakened immune system and a weakened respiratory system because of that. So it's the best thing for him to do to stay at home. And people are saying, we don't know when he's going to be in the ring the next time. Guys, leave the guy alone and let him convalesce. Let him be because the last thing that we want is for him to lose his life for some careless bullshit.
Right.
Let him stay at home. Let him be with his family and get some much needed rest with his family. I mean, he was one of the highest paid wrestlers around, so financially he's not going to be hurting during this ordeal, so he'll be fine. And I know, as a performer, especially as a top performer that he is, he hates every day that he's away from the ring. And I know that. But you have to do what's best. And the best thing that you could do right now is be there for your family and stay healthy for your family. So I'm glad that he's out of it. And I think Braun Strowman is a very, very good substitute. Unfortunately, it does derail the storyline. And that sucks. But I'm happy. But I'm excited about Braun Strowman. I think he is a solid substitute. Just recently, bullshit losing the Intercontinental title to of all people, fucking Sami Zayn. I mean, I love Sami Zayn and everything, but I don't like his new gimmick. I think I think he's a decent heel and everything like that, but hiding behind Shinsuke and Cesaro, I'm not the biggest fan of that because the guy has got, in my opinion, one of the craziest kick finishers I've ever seen. The Helluva kick, oh man, that looks like they'll kick your motherfucking head off if you give them an opportunity to, and I love that. So I'm looking forward to Daniel Bryan getting back into the IC title picture because I don't think he's going to be in the world title picture ever again. I honestly don't think so.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's a good place. It's a good place because I'm not against Daniel Bryan being in the IC picture because I think you can only give the IC title, that much more credibility having someone like that hold it, right? And I'm fine with that, right? Because the IC belt over the years, it's been kind of up and down anyway. Like, hell, I remember when the IC title was fucking curtain jerking shows, and it's just like
that pisses me off.
It's the secondary belt, in my opinion. It is the number 2 belt.
It always has been.
It should be treated as such, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as so like Strowman, because he's fighting Goldberg now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if it was me and I was booking the show, I'd go ahead because I know like Strowman has been like teetering. You know, he's been in main event. He's been the main event of the shows, but he hasn't been the guy, right?
I think he's due. I
think maybe this might be the perfect situation for him because, you know, it's a surprise. Like, boom, he wasn't supposed to be in this match. Roman pulls out. He pops in, and, you know, him versus Goldberg. Is it going to be match of the night? No, probably not.
Oh, no.
Right? No. Is it going to be anything technically spectacular? No, probably not. But if they keep it quick, like they did with like
they have to keep it quick with Goldberg.
Hey.
Goldberg can't go past a certain amount anymore. He just can't.
And you know what? I didn't mind the squash matches with him and Lesnar. I didn't mind. I thought that was perfect.
Oh, dude, I loved them because it told a story.
Yeah.
Because it told a story. And I didn't mind the fact that the first time that they met after, you know, WrestleMania 20 and off, I think the first match back, Goldberg squashed him in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was fine. And I think the same thing, but reverse, have Strowman squash Goldberg. How fucking cool would that be? Kind of out of nowhere. Strowman just comes in, does his fucking move, gets the 1, 2, 3, and now he's the man.
Well, it makes sense because if you look at Strowman is a unique guy in the WWE because you know how the WWE love to fudge stats when it comes to their superstars. Braun is the only guy that is not fudged. He is a legitimate 6'8". He's a legitimate 385 pounds. I mean, the guy is a former multiple-time strongman champion. The guy has the look. He has gotten infinitely better on the stick. So much better. He's actually toned down and gotten some muscle definition in there, and he's a very imposing looking person. So he could sell a good match with Goldberg and make it look good because Goldberg, you know, he had kind of an even match or maybe somewhat of an uphill battle coming against Roman Reigns. But now he definitely has an uphill battle as far as that. But of course, the Goldberg that we knew back in WCW didn't matter who he wrestled because, you know, during his streak, he went through everybody. It didn't matter how fucking big you were. He even went through fucking, if you remember Reese.
Yeah.
If you remember John Reese back in the day, man, he was the biggest guy in WCW. He was a legit 7'2". He was 7'2" and 480 pounds. The guy was a monster. I mean, of course, a lot of people know him from one of the worst gimmicks in the history of WCW, the Yeti. The man who came out Halloween Havoc 1995 looking like he was completely wrapped in toilet paper, and the gayest thing that I've ever seen, with the Giant already having a bear hug on him, and then the Yeti comes and they do like a belly to belly fucking bear hug with Hulk Hogan in the middle. I'm like, that was the worst looking thing I think I've ever seen outside of the Shockmaster.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it was worse than the Shockmaster.
Oh, nothing was worse than the Shock. Somebody coming out, you know, fucking up like that, and then thinking that they can put over a bedazzled Stormtrooper helmet. Like we wouldn't know that was a Stormtrooper helmet, right? Right? And of course, I didn't know about. I honestly believe that he did not know about that 2x4 in the frame. I do believe that. I do believe that he probably was a little overzealous, busted through, and I think he caught his foot because the way that he fell, if you actually watch the footage, it does look like that he didn't know about that 2x4 that was along the bottom. Yeah.
The John Tenta voiced by Ole Anderson, right?
Oh my God. No. Yeah, it was Ole. It was Ole that did it.
The voice. Yeah.
You want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? I'm the Shockmaster. Come on. You want a piece of me?
That was actually pretty good.
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good.
Oh my God, I remember the good ones, man. I'm going to tell you, man, that was just and the fact, you know who was the true legend in that particular promo was fucking Sid. Sid was one of the only ones that didn't crack up. He kept selling oh my god, what's happening here? You could even hear fucking Davey Boy. He fucking fell over. You could even hear Davey Boy laughing on the side. But Sid, man, total pro on that, man. He went ahead, stood tall, kept in character, didn't really acknowledge the biggest clusterfuck in the history of WCW. I thought that was badass, man. But getting back to WrestleMania, there's some interesting ones that are there, man. I mean, there's some interesting matches. I definitely want to see Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. It kills me that Drew McIntyre is finally going to get his opportunity and he's going to have his moment, and it's going to be and that fact that it's in an empty arena, because I believe that Drew's ready. I absolutely believe that Drew is ready, and I think Lesnar is starting to wind down. He's my age. He's 40. He's 42 years old. He's going to be 43 this year. Drew is still a young buck in the grand scheme of things, and he's still got a lot, still going for him. And I think he's got one of the best super kicks in the business right now with his Claymore, man. I love how he sells that.
Edge and Orton. Last standing. I want to see. I do want to see that.
Me too.
Okay, I already said Taker and AJ Styles. Owens and Seth Rollins, I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless they do something really fucking, I just don't know. Zayn and Daniel Bryan, we already touched on that. The tag team title, the SmackDown tag team title match, which is now a singles match, but it's still for the titles. Aleister Black, Bobby Lashley, don't care.
Don't care about that. Hey, what do you think about Rhea Ripley and Charlotte for the NXT title? That's kind of interesting. Because Rhea's going to be a force. Rhea's going to be a force. I just hope that they don't repackage her so badly that she ends up, getting buried when she makes it to the final roster, when she makes it to the main roster.
I mean, that seems to be the case, though, right? I mean, all these, most of these NXT people.
What do you mean most? All of them.
Okay.
All of them.
I was trying to be nice. Like, for instance, and this kind of speaks to, people have been saying this for years. Say you take somebody like Ricochet, right? Ricochet has all the athletic skills, has all the raw talent in the world. He's got a good look, right? But there's still something missing when you watch him. And I think what's gotten him thus far is his athletic ability, because you can put him in a fucking ring and he's a Picasso, right? When you put him in a wrestling ring.
He's worked with the right people in the indies.
Right. Yeah. He can do wonders. Like I'm not shitting on him from his ability,
not at all.
His physical ability. But
it's tough to know what to do with him on the main roster. It is. He's kind of an enigma.
I don't think he has that. There's something missing from his package. I don't know.
There is. There's totally something missing. He doesn't have the right package. That's what it is. He doesn't have the right package for the main roster. Some people are just better off on the NXT brand, on the black and yellow brand. For example, perfect example, Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa was getting ready to be moved over to the main roster, and he said no. He said, no way. He said, I will quit and retire before I go over to the main roster, because I've seen what happens. I've seen what happens when people get repackaged. They're cool. They're cool for a couple of months, and then they're done.
Right.
And he's like, I could make more shit happen at NXT than I ever could. The shit that I've done with Johnny Gargano, dude, the shit that he's done with Johnny Gargano on NXT has been legend.
Right.
It has been legend. He's not going to get the same response, and he's not going to get the same over on Raw or SmackDown. It's just not going to happen. Will he make more money? That's great. That's fine. But he'll make more money, but he'll be on, unfortunately, you know what it seems like, Josh? It seems like the minute that the great NXT talents go on to the main roster, that they're on borrowed time. Because they're repackaged so bad, because there are so many writers that are so out of touch that they try to repackage him. Shinsuke Nakamura, perfect example. Shinsuke Nakamura, when he came over to NXT, oh my God, dude, I marked out so bad And I was actually at the WrestleMania 32. I actually could have gone to the NXT takeover before then, and I still am kicking myself in the ass that I didn't when he had his debut against Sami Zayn, which was just an incredible match. But he was so different for American wrestling, the way he was. And the minute they get him over to fucking SmackDown, they repackage him as the artist known as. What the fuck is up with that shit? Leave the man alone. And I know why. I know why they get repackaged. Because the real work schedule begins when you get over to the main brand. The real 300 days plus a year. That's when it starts. So guess what they have to do? They have to micromanage your in-ring routine. You can't get careless. You can't get 100% careless unless the match that you're working dictates, a degree of carelessness. But you can't do that because now the real work schedule begins. You're micromanaged on what you can do. You're basically been repackaged into 5 moves of doom. And then you have the writer saying, you know something? I don't think that your character is fresh right now. Like they would fucking know about that. Shinsuke was perfect the way he was. Bobby Roode, glorious Bobby Roode, was perfect the way that
Bobby Roode. Huge Bobby Roode fan.
Was perfect the way that he was. He had some of the most epic entrances in NXT fucking history. And so did Shinsuke on top of that. In fact, I was there at the NXT takeover in San Antonio when they both had great entrances. But I remember Shinsuke came out kind of like on a floating, like on something floating to the ring. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, NXT is, it seems like NXT is more in touch. It seems because I think that's the part that Triple H runs, and I think Triple H is
it's less hands in the cookie jar. I think
it's exactly what it is. It is less hands in the cookie jar. It's basically Vince saying, you know what, this is your baby.
Yeah,
this is your baby. I'm not gonna mess with your baby. You go ahead and you make that brand the best that you can. But that's when the creative juices start drying up. Is when there's too many fucking hands in the cookie jar. And it's creative differences 101 is exactly what ends up happening on that. So God bless Ciampa for staying on with NXT and expanding that brand, because I think NXT, for the longest time, it was considered the development brand. I don't see it that way anymore. I don't see it as the
third brand now.
It's a wonderful brand. Another person who I think that would get totally fucked over by the writer's stick, bend over and take it up at the ass like a man. They do that the minute that he got on there, and that's the Velveteen Dream.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think
what a talent he is.
He's a great talent. I don't think that gimmick translates.
It doesn't. It's perfect. It is a glove fit for NXT.
Yeah.
It would not go for very long. It would not go very long because, the old saying, you're only as good as your dance partner. And that's the problem. There's so many mismatches that are taking place on Raw and SmackDown. It seems like the matchups that happen on NXT are kismet. I see better wrestling every day of the week and twice on Sunday on NXTs. Every day. Every now and then we'll be surprised by a main roster treat. It does happen. It does happen. Every now and then we'll be surprised, like this last Royal Rumble. Edge coming out. I knew that I had an idea that he was coming, but I wasn't 100% sure. And that made the whole fucking night for me. That made the whole fucking night. And not only did he come back, he was in better shape. He was fucking ripped. He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked jacked. And he had a little bit more gray, like a little more old gristled old man look to him, man. Right. I love that. And he was still moving with
that
the
old man Logan look to him.
Yeah. And he did a great job. He did a great job in that Royal Rumble, man. He worked the fuck out of it. And I was so happy to see that back. I had an idea that maybe something was going to go on with Randy Orton and him and everything, because, Randy's become this completely different wrestler, as of recently. But I'm going to tell you, he's still one of my favorite heels in modern time because Randy just knows. He has that Mick Foley mentality that was taught to him long ago, and that's a heel has to believe that what he's doing is right no matter how fucked up his logic is.
Yeah.
And I think that he's a student of that game. And that's why I love to see Randy Orton. Randy Orton sucks as a face.
Yeah, Randy's probably one of the best heels in probably the last 20, 30 years.
Dude, he sucks as a face. He can't I can't see him over as a face. And then he tried to do the whole anti-hero thing. I'm like, dude, leave that to Stone Cold. Leave that to Stone Cold, man. You got those steely eyes. You got that wrestling pedigree background. Second generation. Bob
Orton he was never face, right? Like most of his career was heel. He was the bad guy.
Oh, dude, Cowboy Bob Orton. He did some face work in Japan. Okay. But as far as the WWE, the NWA, and all the territories, no, he was a heel.
Yeah.
He was a heel. He had a heel face. Some people you can't have them be a face because of just the way that they look. Perfect example. Whatchamacallit? Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat could never be a heel.
He just had that baby face look to him.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. He was too fucking wholesome.
Yeah.
He was too fucking wholesome. I mean, you remember when he won the NWA world title back in the WCW days when he had his matches against Ric Flair, he'd come out with his wife and his son.
Right.
It was total family unit, material.
Right.
And everybody knew that. So he was one of those guys who just could not be a face no matter how much you rebrand him, no matter how much you repackage him. It's not going to happen. And you know what? The fans won't buy it either. They won't. They just won't, man. And, Josh, that's one of the reasons why I think that I get a little bit more frustrated about pro wrestling modern times is because I do believe that they've lost touch on true storytelling.
Nothing is organic in it.
Not at all. It's forced. It's forced, and it shows.
Because remember, and we were talking about this last week. For those of you who watched the watch along, we were talking about how, the angle with Brett and Vince essentially started the Mr. McMahon character, right?
Yep.
If you go back and you watch the Raws leading up to that, it was obvious, but it wasn't obvious. Like it wasn't like it is now, meaning like when you saw it happen, like you thought that you were there, like you thought you were witnessing everything kind of unfold right in front of you. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but you know what I mean, Jeff? Like
I know exactly what you mean, man.
When Bret Hart was, after the cage match and he's, I'm sick of this shit. Everybody in the back is, screwing. You're screwing.
It was the shoot, and you didn't see too many shoots then.
And it felt 100%, even though that was planned. Like that particular night, everything was planned, right? But it felt so organic. Probably because there was a dose of reality in it, which is why it felt.
If it's with Vince, you better believe that it was, because there's nobody that's in this business that can say that they've had nothing but just birthday cakes and giggles when it comes to dealing with Vince. And if you do, you're a fucking liar. Even if you're fucking John Cena, everybody has had their run-in with Vince. He's that kind of man, unfortunately. He's that kind of promoter. I mean, you have to be a prick in this business. If you're not, the talent will walk all over you, especially at that level. So I understand his position.
That quote, Jeff.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's what the guys in Beyond the Mat, when they the guy from APW, the short little chubby guy with glasses.
Oh, the Gym Wars shows. Gym Wars shows.
He was like, oh, you have to be a prick in this business. That's exactly okay. That's funny.
Maybe that's where I heard it from. I'm not sure. I mean, it could be it could have been unconscious, subconscious of me. I'm not sure, but that's exactly how it is. And you being in the wrestling business and me being in the wrestling business, I mean, you took the bumps. I was still on the mic, but even on the small shows, on the bullshit shows that we barely got 30 people. Even on the small shit shows, there's still fucking politics in the back.
100%.
In the back, even though there really wasn't a locker room, it was usually always that wonderful garbage bag partition. It looked like giant garbage bags that were just, this thin little separation between the 30 people waiting to be entertained and the stinky motherfuckers in the back that never washed their fucking gear.
I've been on shows where there was more boys in the back than there were.
I've had that before. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I hate to say it. That's just a promoter that's not promoting. That's a promoter that's not promoting. And that's also a promoter that's not talking to the boys and having them promote the show as well.
You don't know how many times and I won't name names, but you don't know how many times I remember this one guy we used to work for. And I'm like, hey, man, what did you do? Did you buy any radio spots, or did you do this, do that? He's like, oh, I put up a sign at the Food Lion down the street. I'm like, what else? He's like, oh, no, that's, we thought we would get a good turnout. A lot of people go to that Food Lion. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
That's not a promoter.
That's not a promoter.
That's not a promoter. That's not a promoter at all. That's a dude standing in line waiting for government cheese.
Let me tell you what, and this is going out. If you're a worker or you're involved in the wrestling business currently, I'm gonna tell you something. If you pull up to a show, and you don't even see a goddamn wrestling poster anywhere, you probably you're probably going to work the show anyway, but there's a good chance that no one's going to show up and you're probably not going to get paid.
You'll probably get paid. It'll just be shit pay. It'll just be shit pay on top of that. And he might make up some bullshit excuse and run off with the money like they usually do.
Oh, yeah. If a promoter doesn't even take the time to fucking make up a poster, don't go back.
He's looking to pocket as much money as quickly as possibly can and fuck everybody else. That is somebody who does not respect the business. That is not somebody who respects the business. I was very fortunate when I started off my announcing career. I started off with a promotion called River City Wrestling that I'm happy to say is still in business today.
Good.
And that was 17 years ago that I started with them. And the guy who runs it is a guy by the name of Brandon Oliver. And this is a guy who absolutely has the right idea of how to do things, because he was involved back in the day during the Texas Wrestling Federation back in the 2000s. I don't know if you remember that, but that was the promotion that Shawn Michaels ran for a brief amount of time. And the Texas Wrestling Federation, Brandon was involved in that to a degree. And the guy who actually ran the promotion was a guy by the name of Rudy Boy Gonzalez. A lot of people in the indie world know who he is. I don't have anything negative to say about him other than the fact that he fucked with me probably more than any promoter I've ever represented. And when you see him, Rudy, I love you, but you got scumbag written all over your fucking face and you know it. But that's okay. That's okay. That's just the way that some people come across. But you know what?
Like I said, shade, Jeff Houston.
Nothing but love. Nothing but love on that. But they were running, and they were also running the school, and that's where Daniel Bryan went to school.
Who else? It was Daniel Bryan.
It was Daniel. It was Daniel.
Spanky came from there.
It was Spanky. Yeah, and Paul London.
Yep, Paul London. Yeah,
Paul London was that.
Paul London was another guy who was fucking incredible athletically. He had some good ass matches. He could work his ass off, but he had the personality of a bucket of water. Unfortunately,
the problem with that, and I'll tell you what it is, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Rudy Boy Gonzalez is one hell of a pro wrestling trainer. He's fantastic. As far as developing your personality, as far as teaching you how to really hone your mic skills, he's terrible. He's terrible. And unfortunately, Paul didn't really get schooled as well as he could have been. And that's just such a shame, because he was incredible. I mean, when he and Spanky tagged up and they won the tag belts, and he did a fantastic job. He did a fantastic job. And he had a couple of really good rivalries and some, he had some good spots for
back in the day. He was known for, at least that was when he was in WWE. Was when I was in the business, and when he would just he could do a standing shooting star press, just standing position.
Oh, dude, you didn't even see a spring. You didn't even see like a bend of the knees.
Yeah.
It was just a standing, and it was prettier.
Just that,
and it was prettier than what's his names from WCW.
Billy Kidman.
Kidman. It was prettier than Billy Kidman's. In fact, they actually had a rivalry about that in the WWE, and that's because I remember when the WWE was almost looking at the shooting star press as like an outlawed move, because Kidman kept doing it to where he would bring his knees down and crash you. In that, I remember the segment that he did that with Paul London, and he was like puking up blood and all that, and that was a great rivalry because it was legitimately two guys who had mastered one hell of a finisher.
Yeah, and did it as good as they both did it completely different.
Oh,
right. Just like
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, because Paul London would go up.
Yes.
Kidman would almost kick it off.
Yeah, he went
out
than up.
He went out. Well, no, he didn't go up that much. He went kick out and down.
Yeah.
Paul London almost made it look like an inverted moonsault.
Yeah. Right.
The way that he did. Kidman would do it flat-footed too.
Yeah.
But he'd kick out and he'd go out and down.
Yeah.
In his version of the shooting star press. Paul's was prettier.
Yeah.
Paul's was prettier. And oh my God, you want to talk about a shooting star press from an individual who absolutely physically shouldn't be doing that, but oh my God, did he do it? Unfortunately, he botched one where he almost broke his fucking neck, and of course I'm talking about Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But Brock back in the OVW days,
it was pretty.
It was
nice.
295-pound man doing an inverted shooting star press. My God. And he hit it perfectly too.
It's impressive, man. And I know people who I don't know. I know we've kind of gone off on a tangent talking about pro wrestling, but
we always do that.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's what we do.
I implore you, because you can find it on YouTube. Look up Brock Lesnar shooting star press, and like the OV. Don't look at the botched one from WrestleMania on Kurt.
19, not the one from WrestleMania 19. Look for the ones in OVW.
The OVW something like when he does it, man. It was it's just impressive to see, like you said, that big of a guy.
The spectacle is what it is.
It's a fucking It really is. It's a spectacle in itself.
It is.
It really is.
And they hated when he did it, even though he had talked to Kurt and he said, "Do you want me to do that?" And Kurt's like, "It's a big finish. Why not?" Because that should have been the finish.
I think it was going
to be the finish, and he was just he was too far.
Yeah.
He was just too fucking far away and didn't turn his body in time. I don't know what was happening. I don't know what was going through his mind. I mean, I think Kurt should have been a hell of a lot closer, and he went up too. Brock went up. I mean, he kicked his feet up high when he did the
If you look in his OVW stuff, he was hitting them when they were like across the ring like that. I think the problem was,
I think he slipped.
He hadn't done that move, and I think he said it
long,
right?
Long. He hadn't done it since OVW, and he hadn't done it. Yeah,
he wasn't worried about practicing it, which just showed how confident that fucker was. He's like, "Fuck it, I got it. I'm not worried about it." He
knew the response it would elicit, and he was right about it. It's just this. Unfortunately, it didn't gel this time. Unfortunately, and they did excellent damage control, because when you're injured, honestly, you knew that something was wrong. You knew that the lights were dimmed, and you knew that he was fucked up.
Angle knew it, and Angle called the F5. He was aware enough to know, hey, this was fucked up. Let's wrap this up.
But the F5. But the funny thing about it is that the F5 wasn't sloppy. It was
fine.
Brock saw it through just fine. You know, it's like what happened with Steve Austin and Owen Hart when he broke his neck. Now the worst fucking schoolboy in the history of fucking schoolboys. But I got to give Brock credit. I mean, even though that Brock didn't have a broken neck, but he was concussed as fuck, and that much was painfully obvious.
Yeah,
he did a beautiful F5 and finished up the match very well.
Yeah,
considering what he was going through. Same thing happened to Taker. Same thing happened to Taker at WrestleMania 30 when they had their match. Taker was severely concussed. In fact, I think he said that was the worst concussion of his life that he got from that match. And you know something? He did just fine. He finished it. But it was just really funny watching him afterwards because some of them will sell the moment, especially in a big moment like that when the streak is broken. But the way that he was, you saw him constantly licking his lips. His eyes were going all over the place. He was having trouble actually even finding the ropes when he was trying to get leverage to get to his feet. You can tell there, as a former professional wrestler, there are telltale signs that you see when somebody is severely concussed, like legitimately concussed.
Yeah.
And those were them. And those were the signs. You know, he collapsed as soon as he got through the gorilla position back there, went straight to the hospital. Vince didn't even stay for the rest of the show. He hopped in the ambulance and went with him because, you know why? I mean, everybody knows why, because I mean, he's the most tenured man in WWE history. Nobody, with the exception of Shawn Michaels. With the exception of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is the most tenured performer that's still representing WWE to a degree. Taker's number 2. Only by a short margin. Only by a very small margin. Because Shawn came in 86. Taker came in 90. So, you know, and he's also how many times has Taker carried the promotion? How many times has he been the ring general? How many times has he been the face and had to, pick up the company in bad times?
Yeah.
In bad times when, you know, shit isn't working out with the talent that they wanted to be the figurehead of the promotion. Call in Taker. Call in fucking Taker, man. He will pick up the motherfucking slack. Always does.
Taker's the man.
He's the fucking man. He's the fucking man.
So, we're rolling up on an hour here. I tell you what, I do want to touch base on UFC 249.
We were just having too much fun. You know how it is when we get talking about pro wrestling.
Yeah. Well, no, you know what, people, and we've said this from the beginning, you know, like Loudmouth Fisticuffs, man, you know, we touch on MMA, bare knuckle, pro wrestling, pretty much anything and everything. We'll talk about, I mean, we don't talk about political stuff all that much. We might bring it up, but other than that, I mean, we talk about it all. You know, you're going to hear about it all, and that's what's great is that for people who are, if you're a pro wrestling fan, maybe listening to this, maybe it'll bring you into that MMA bare knuckle world. Just hearing us talk about it, maybe it'll pique some interest, maybe, and vice versa. Maybe.
We want you to be versatile. We want you to be versatile. We want you to be the versatile fans. We don't want that separation of a boxing fan is a boxing fan, an MMA fan is an MMA fan, and a wrestling fan is a wrestling fan. We want you to be versatile across the board, baby. We want you to like
it all. It's okay to like it all.
It is. It is. Because you know what? Every single one is an art form.
Yep.
Every single one is an art form. And don't let pro wrestling throw you just because it's predetermined. Don't let that throw you, man. There's so much more happening that is worth you tuning in and paying attention to it and studying it than constantly thinking about, oh, it's not real. That's not true. It is real. The result is real. The result of the violence is real. It is predetermined. You cannot say that it is fake because it is not. I know. I am sitting right next. Well, not sitting right next, but I am right next to an actual professional wrestler that will attest to the motherfucking fact that it is not fake.
To this, even not doing it, I hate it, man. It's fake
because it's wrong. Because it's the wrong
back issues. 10 years later, I can tell you it's not fake. I hate that.
I bet you've still got nagging physical issues from your time.
My knees and my knees are fucked, man. Like it's like the cartilage. I mean, I wore knee pads. I wasn't one of those old school guys that there were some guys that didn't wear knee pads. I don't understand. But my the cartilage in my knees, like it's gone. It's fucked. It's gone. It hurts.
All right, Josh. with that being said, go ahead and talk to the people who are going to be listening to this. How long were you a professional wrestler?
7 years, I guess. If you started from the moment I started training till, I guess, when I started.
Your last match.
Yeah, probably about 7 years, give or take, something.
Look at that, 7 years. 7 years in the industry.
Yeah.
Not too many people can actually say that the cartilage in their knee is fucked in any kind of physical activity.
Yeah.
Basically, 7 years of your life, you are now going to have issues that nag at you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life, because of 7 years that you devoted towards an art form. And that's right there.
Yeah.
That's enough gratification. And that's enough proof to let all these naysayers know that this shit is not fake. 7 years, and this guy is going to have knee problems for the rest of his fucking life. How old are you, Josh?
35.
You're 35 years old. Dude, you're 35 years old. You haven't even hit halfway of your life now. And the rest of your life, you're going to have these issues because of 7 years that you devoted to something that you believed in.
Yeah.
Fuck all the people who say that it's fake. Talk to my boy Josh. You tell me something outside of wrestling that anybody else did that your knees weren't fucked after 7 years. God bless. Pisses me off. Pisses me off, man.
It does, man. It's annoying, and thankfully my back problems aren't as much as they used to. I don't want to go into
that's good.
about me, but
no, I hear you. But you're stating the obvious to anybody who is in that industry and knows that unfortunately you have to sacrifice your body.
Let me tell you what, and this is just coming. Anybody who's ever taken one fucking bump can attest to this. Like some of these. You look at like your Harley Race guys and, Ric Flair. And some of these guys that's been fucking doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. Terry Funk. I can't even.
Oh my God.
I can imagine, but I can't honestly comprehend. I know after 7 years what my body feels like, right?
Can you imagine 40 plus years?
Terry Funk, motherfucker, moonsaults off the goddamn concession stands and off in the arena and on the concrete
in his 50s and his 60s.
I try to put this in the perspective, right? I was in Richmond at the show where it was Terry Funk and Mick Foley on Raw. And
that's right, you mentioned that.
I was at that, and I was actually like when Terry Funk like climbed up the part of the arena and actually moonsaulted like into the fucking crowd. I was like right there. I was probably arm length away. I was right there. Anyway, which was fucking cool, by the way. As
of course,
I don't know. I was in middle school at the time. It's fucking amazing. 98, April of 98. Anyway, imagine he was probably in his 50s or 60s back then. Can you imagine like your fucking that like my dad? That'd be like my dad saying, "Oh well, yeah, I did a moonsault on the concrete yesterday." Huh? I couldn't imagine it. Hey, so
that was actually pretty good. Oh yeah, I did a moonsault on the concrete yesterday. Yeah.
Why don't you start the match on top of the cage?
That was real. Oh my God, that was really good.
That's my impersonation of Mick Foley impersonating Terry Funk. That's from. Do you remember that? He's like one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was I went to Terry Funk before the Hell in a Cell match, and I said, Terry, Shawn and Taker did so it was amazing. How do we top that? Why don't you start the match on top of the cage? All right, we're having.
And if you remember, he didn't rehearse it because he said that if he had, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's.
I know we're getting there. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there,
it's all good. UFC 249. Obviously, I'm gonna make it simple, Jeff.
Straight up limbo.
I know what Dana White says. I think there's probably 50-50 or less that the show even happens.
I think it's less. I think it's less right now.
I know what they're saying. I know Dana's trying, and I believe him. I believe he's trying with every fiber of his fucking being. I believe him. But
it's not the right time right now. It needs to be put on the back burner. It really does. I hate to say it, and I know that sucks, and I know that Dana wants to be one of the very few that's turning out live events, even if they're closed door, but it's just too much. All the additional money that he's going to have to spend in order to get that done, and the fact that he is going to lose out tremendously because there's not going to be any ticket sales on this particular one. I mean, it's just too much of a gamble right now, and nobody would hold it against him if he pulled the plug on UFC 249. I think it's the best thing, honestly. I hate to say that because it sucks not having live sports right now. It sucks donkey balls. I hate it, but it's the right thing to do.
And I'll tell you what else. If the show does happen, we got confirmation that could be 100% was not fighting on the card. Okay, all right.
But
right. Well, there's the private plane thing, but let's just say could be.
Let's just say that's off. Okay.
Right. So we've heard Poirier threw his hat, Gaethje. Even
I thought it was going to be Gaethje. I thought it was going to be him and Gaethje. I really thought that was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, against Ferguson, and
that would have been great. That'd be a great fight.
Wow, it would be a great fight, and I would want.
But it's not a money fight.
I don't want to see anything other than Tony and Khabib right now.
Oh, absolutely, because of
that's postponed until after Ramadan for September or October, which Ramadan is in a couple weeks anyway, right?
It is.
Just
yeah, it's April 24th.
I would rather keep Tony safe and healthy.
Keep everybody safe and healthy.
Well, yeah, but
not just him.
Yeah, I mean, not just him, but I would rather see 100% Tony fight 100% Khabib versus Tony go in and fight Gaethje and risk something.
And also, he's not. I mean, even though Tony's the kind of guy who'll fight anybody, he's not prepared for Gaethje. He was prepared for Khabib.
Completely different fucking fight.
Completely different fight.
Completely different fight.
No, I don't think that they need to scramble. I think that they're scrambling right now. They're scrambling trying to make this happen. I can appreciate that, but there's just too many damn what ifs right now. And the best thing that they could do, I hate to say this, Josh, I don't like doing this, especially on Loudmouth Fisticuffs, but I agree. I agree with you. I want to see a 100% Tony Ferguson against a 100% Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's what I want to see. And I don't think anybody else wants to see any less, especially the true diehard UFC fans that have been waiting for this motherfucker to finally come to fruition. After all the times that it's been scrapped, and it's been scrapped before just because of, maybe they couldn't come to terms before. And this was of course before the Corona shit started.
Right.
But now with the Corona shit started, and now that this is a global fight, it's not just a fight for us. It's a global fight. It's the best thing to do to just shut it down and just say, Dana, man, we love you for really playing devil's advocate and doing damage control. Yeah. We really do, but we don't need it right now. Yeah. We don't need it. We need everybody to go home, stay the fuck at home, be safe, let this shit pass. Yeah. Eventually, I'm telling you, in the next week or two, there is going to be a stay-at-home ordinance throughout the entire country. I see it happening. It's been happening state to state. Florida just had it passed today. The stay-at-home ordinance passed. Texas had it a couple of
days ago for Virginia.
Yeah. So everybody's getting it. And there are some governors that are being pig-headed about it. In fact, I believe the governor of Alabama was like saying, "Oh, it's in God's hands now." Really? You're going to take that approach to your fellow Alabamans, and you're going to put people's risk at life just because it's in God's hands? That's the stupidest thing that I've ever fucking heard, man. You know something? I hate to say it, America needs to shut down. A collective effort. We all need to shut the fuck down and let the shit pass. Because the more
fucking beaches and still have spring break like a bunch of fucktards. Sorry.
Well, that's not. No. What are you sorry for? You're right. You're right, dude. The past couple
these fucktards on down in Florida that were still having their spring break, and they're like, "Oh yeah, fuck Corona. This isn't gonna stop us." I'm like,
we're not worried about that.
Great.
We're worried about the healthy getting it and then transferring it on to people who can die from it.
Exactly.
Because most of you won't even know that you have it.
Right.
We don't care about that, you selfish fucking pricks.
Yeah.
We want you to follow the mandate so that everyone can get past this, because what makes this thrive is you being out there.
Right.
That's what makes us thrive. Everybody going home and not and social distancing themselves. I hate that fucking term, man. It sounds like such a fucking, you know,
you still got like 2 or 3 months of saying it, buddy.
I know. I you know, I don't want to get used to it, but I agree. But that's going to be the best thing for everyone to do. And now that there's a shutdown ordinance, and now, you know, these little fucktards, you know, if they're out there, now they can be arrested for that. And good for them, because and good for them if they do get arrested, because we don't need to see this get. I hate to say it though, Josh. In the next couple of weeks, it is going to get a lot worse. It just is.
Yeah.
It's going to get, the next 3 weeks are going to be the worst out of everything. I truly believe that we're going to see the death toll skyrocket, and we're going to end up having the biggest problem out of any country in the world. We've already easily surpassed any country when it comes to the amount of cases.
Yeah. As
of right now, we're not number one in deaths, but we're getting there. But we're getting there. So guys, stay at home. Stay at home, man. Everybody's worried about, oh, I'm going stir fucking crazy, dude. I'm weathering this through like a champion, man. This isn't bothering me at all. And there are so many people, you know, you're actually going to probably see more domestic violence breakouts and disputes, because now everybody's stuck at home with everybody. So I think you're going to see more domestic violence issues and more divorces that actually happen for this.
A lot
and
more of this too happening.
Well, it needs to. It needs to. It needs to. Stay your ass at home and fuck.
That's right.
I totally agree with that, man. Absolutely. Stay at home and fuck. You know, I went out today and I had myself a nice game of basketball with my brother at, there's a school that's not too far from where I live. And of course the school's closed down, but the facilities, the outdoor facilities are still available. And there was nobody there. So, you know, we went out there, enjoyed some basketball. When we saw some people coming, we said, you know what, it's time to go now. So we saw some people coming. So that wasn't necessarily in violation of the ordinance. And yet, what do I see the city of San Antonio pass down today? Now those outdoor, now all that's closed. Now you literally have to stay home. Now it's like they're not being facetious about this.
Right. Stay
at home. I'm just fortunate that I live out on a 7-acre ranch, and I've got plenty of places to walk around, and I have good distance away from all of my neighbors. If you got to be anywhere during quarantine, I think my situation is as good as it gets, man. It really is. I live out on a 7-acre ranch. I live down I have a half-mile unpaved road that leads into our property, one way in, one way out. All of my neighbors are armed, because it's out in the country. So it's a very, very safe place, and everybody's well spaced away from each other.
Right.
You know, I don't have close neighbors. We have 2 houses on my property, my aunt's house and my mother's house. I have my own house, but we all have a good degree of separation between each other. Nobody's right next to each other.
Right.
So that's why, you know, we're doing as good as we, and I know everybody doesn't have that availability. Most people are, you know, living in apartments and packed on top of each other.
Right.
And that sucks. And my heart goes out to them and such. But the best thing you could do, like I said, stay inside. I'm sick of talking about it, Josh. Shit. But I just talk about it so fucking. You're right. That is definitely, that should take priority right now. Or do what we're doing. Get the fuck on social media and make yourself a presence.
You know, and there's a lot of that going around, and it's great. It's wonderful. I've seen a lot of people, you know, start stuff up and do stuff and have more of a voice. And that's great for the community as a whole, man. I think it's It's a great idea. You know, it helps. I have a good time, man. I have a good time on here. I have a good time doing the live shows. It
How can you not have a good time? How can you not have a good time? I mean, that's all I'm doing right now. I'm just spending all of my time. Dude, there's so many places that I can do stuff, but for some reason I love doing stuff on Facebook Live because I know my Facebook following is out there and I know that a lot of these guys know who I am, and I'm going to try to entertain as much as I possibly can. Josh, you know, you do the same. You know that you have a Facebook following, of course, via Combat Insiders. A lot of people following Combat Insiders. You know, I mean, you guys have got great insights in the combat sports world. So we're doing the best that we can do right now by bringing you as much content as we possibly can. It's not going to be scripted. It's not going to be rehearsed. And it's not going to be timed out because that's just not how we do things. That's not how I roll when it comes to social media. I shoot from the hip. And you'll hear me stumble and bumble all the fucking time. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to cut that out. I don't want to cut that out. I want to show me. I want to show you me. Josh wants to show you him, even his nice pink asshole and everything. I'm sure he probably wants to show you that as well. Somebody open the pigeon cage.
guys, with that said, I tell you what, we have a good time. We enjoy it. Once again, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe. If you don't want to miss this, and why would you want to miss this? I mean,
this is just too much fucking fun.
Too much fun. And please, again, please, I implore you, comment, give us feedback. Just everything helps. You know, you guys aren't paying us for anything, and we're not asking for anything. Just smash the like. Just take 2 seconds out of your day. Not even
2 seconds. It's a click of the button. It's
hit the button. That's
click
the
button.
Support us. It really is.
Use that touch sensor that you use so much on your cell phone. All of your mobile phone, you're already doing it already. You might as well go ahead and, you know, this is not about this is not a thumbs down time in our lives. This should all be about positivity right now. It's all about the thumbs up. So, you know, be supportive and just, you know, give it. That's all we're asking. It's the bare minimum of your effort. All you got to do is just, you know, let us know what's going on, man. Let us know that you're digging what we're doing. If you have comments, if you have suggestions, if there's something that you want to hear us specifically talk about, let us know. We can totally change gears based on your suggestions. I don't have a problem with that. Do you, Josh?
100%. I want the feedback, even if it's even if it's criticism, because we all grow.
I thrive on that. I thrive on it. Even if it's,
so please,
even if it's negative, I don't give a fuck. Let us know.
See, like that. Critique me on dropping the fucking microphone. Critique that. You may not like the sound of a microphone dropping, but hey.
Oh my God! You see what I have to put up with, folks? This is wow, and this is on a weekly basis. I think that's all I can take from you, Josh. Honestly, this is what it's like when worlds collide. Yeah, that's what it's like.
Power Man 5000.
You got the reference. I like that.
But yeah, guys, please, thank you so much. Anyway, that was Loudmouth Fisticuffs, episode number 7. Tune in again next week. You never know what the hell we're going to talk about. We don't even know yet. So can't wait, and it'll be. I'm sure we'll have just as much fun. That's Mr. Live Worldwide, Jeff Houston. I'm Joshua Furs. Check out CombatInsiders.com. Check out Jeff and the Fat Pug, too, on this Facebook. Go find his Facebook page.
Appreciate the plug.
You will appreciate Jeff. And that's all we got, and we're out.
Out. 5,000. Free Mandela.